Hello everyone and welcome to another video on the Fleet Signal YouTube channel. My name is Alex from fleetsignal.com and today I'm going to take a look at this, the Zenian League Fleet Guide for Firestorm Armada. This book is basically fluff, backstory and stats for the Zenian League factions, which are the Dindrenzi, the Directorate, the Rothosa and the allied factions within the Zenian League. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive straight into this book. Actually, I should tell you first that if you want to see the Kuruk Alliance book, then go over to the video about the Kuruk Alliance, about that book that I've posted on the channel, and yeah, you can see a flick through of this book for the Kuruk Alliance. But in this video, I'm going to focus on the Zenian League book. So let's have a look at what this book is like. So hardcover, just like the core rule book and the Kuruk Alliance book. Zenian League Fleet Guide, nice cover design, Spartan Games, blah 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 blah. And on the back, it tells you that this has history, backstory, and statistics for the Zenian League factions in Firestorm Armada. See the logo, blah 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 blah. The stats in this are current as of the date of this video, but the most current stats should always be available at spartangames.co.uk in the download section. So let's open the book. And a nice logo on the inside front cover, Zenian League logo and title page. And here, straight away, we get into fluff. This is Cassandra Bennett. She's kind of the equivalent of the Sarge, or Admiral Buzzcut, as a lot of people call him, from the Kuruk book, and he's also the guy who you see in the core rule book as well. And she's a bit of a nasty person, Cassandra, as you'll find out if you read her little bit of fluff right here. The contents are color coded, just like in the core rule book. As you can see, it covers the Dindrenzi, Rothosa, Directorate, and allied factions. So let's move on to the core homeworlds. Raven Citadel for the Dindrenzi, Aziza Prime for the Rothosa, and Xenia for the Directorate. Bit of background on their worlds. And then we go straight into the Dindrenzi, the Children of Ignatius. So this is basically lots of backstory and fluff for the Dindrenzi. How they came about, how the Dindrenzi were formed, but basically they're separatists. But yeah, it's all about how the Dindrenzi came to be. Lots and lots of background and fluff for the Dindrenzi. And then we move on to fleet building. This basically shows you how to build a Dindrenzi fleet, and the fleet statistics and all the other stuff that goes with it. So, yep, how to build a Dindrenzi fleet. And then we move on to the ships. The Dreadnought, the battleship, and some photography. You see a lot of photography throughout this book. So, yeah, some Dindrenzi photography, and then on to the other battleship, Praetorian class, carrier, Claymore and Falchion class. Some more photography of some Dindrenzi engaging some Sorylian ships. Battle station, battle cruiser, gunship, heavy cruiser, and then we move on to more photography. Terrans against Dindrenzi, which is the rivalry, pretty much the main rivalry in the game. But this is their rivalry. And then the cruiser, Fury and Secutor class, with nice photography there. The destroyer, the frigate. I've heard I don't play Dindrenzi, but I've heard the destroyer is really good. The corvette, the escort, renders of those. Some more nice photography of Dindrenzi ships, looking all mean. And then we move on to this. This is one of my favourite bits of the entire book. Probably my second favourite bit of the entire book, apart from after the fluff. This basically shows you how to build an example 1200 point fleet for the Dindrenzi, and it gives you a little bit of fluff as well on the fleet. And you can also use these pictures as like paint scheme ideas as well. So this shows you the combined fleets, Hammer of Vengeance, 1200 point battle fleet. And so yeah, you can you know, take a look at this and use it as a kind of a jumping off point for your fleet. So if you're not sure, you know, you want to build 1200 points of Dindrenzi, but you're not sure how, you can take this, play it a couple of times, and then maybe change things. So, you know, maybe if you don't want to use one particular battleship, you can use a different one. You don't use battle cruisers, okay, swap that out for something else, and so on and so forth. These aren't guaranteed to be like competition worthy by any means. They might be, but you know, I haven't played these Dindrenzi lists, for example. You know, they might be great for competitions, I don't know. They're not guaranteed to be competition worthy. They're meant to be, you know, jumping off points for your own ideas for fleets, and they're a really good addition to this book. So that's a 1200 point fleet. Then we go on to another 1200 point fleet, the 590th Implacable Shields. So yep, 2000 points Grand Fleet, the World Hammers, 501st World Hammers, and of course some fluff for the World Hammers, and you know, some background, which might encourage you to write your own background for your fleet. And then we have the Long Patrol Division, 777th LPD, which doesn't have any battleships. It has a gunship squadron, cruiser squadron, corvette squadrons, and some fluff for that fleet as well. And then some more photography of the Dindrenzi. And then we move on to Zerelthosa. The Relthosa fluff is actually interesting in the sense that, you know, they're not kind of like, you know, like the alien swarm fleet that's so common from, you know, from other games. The Relthosa are actually a bit nicer than, you know, the traditional kind of swarm aliens from other games. They're basically an imperial empire of arachnids. So yeah, they have an interesting history. So it shows you all the history for these guys, all the fluff, backstory, how they came from, you know, the early days until, you know, into the present day in the Storm Zone. And then we go on to how to build Relthosa fleets. And then straight on to the ships. So Dreadnought, the battleship, more photography, carrier, battle cruiser, more photography of Relthosa engaging the Aquans. Aquan's looking pretty outnumbered there. The battle station, the shunt cruiser, the heavy cruiser, some nice photography again. The destroyer, frigate, the other type of frigate, and the escort, all with nice renders. And then another big, you know, well, small-ish actually, battle scene, Terrans against Relthosa. And of course, you can use, you know, you can use these like pictures as ideas for paint schemes. And same here. You can use these for ideas for paint schemes as well. And it actually talks a little bit about the colours in the fluff as well. So this is an 800 point patrol fleet for the Relthosa with a bit of fluff. Then we go on to this Swarm 898, a 1200 point battle fleet. You know, which is like the other factions. It's a jumping off point for, you know, your own ideas, or you can play this if you're not sure what else to play. 2000 point Grand Fleet, Reformer 350. These are supposed to be the big bad fleets that come in and really start to colonize the planet once, you know, once the other fleets have done their job and driven off the enemy. And Stalker fleets. I do like this paint scheme actually. This paint scheme is quite cool. Stalker 303, which is a 1200 point battle fleet, and some fluff for them. Some more nice photography of the space spiders, as people often call them. And then we go on to the Directorate, which is the Zenian League faction that I play because they oppose the Aquans. So I thought, you know, bad guys opposing my Aquans, yeah, I'll play them. So yeah, this is how the Directorate started off. Like the Dindrenzi, their fluff is tied to the Terrans. So yep, all the fluff for the Directorate, and then we go on to fleet building, how to build a Directorate fleet. And then the Dreadnought, the Persecution class Dreadnought, the Battleship, Eliminator and Judgment classes. Some photography of some Directorate. And then onto the Carrier and the Battle Station. and the SRS tokens as well. You might have noticed actually that the fleets, and you'll notice later on when I go through the alliance fleets, that there are SRS tokens for pretty much every faction in the game, even the minor factions. Just some of the SRS tokens haven't come out yet as of the publication of this book, but in the far future, if you're watching this in the far future, they've possibly come out. The battle cruiser, deterrent class, R&D cruiser, tormentor class. Some Directorate, which I don't know, are they ambushing the Sorylians? No, probably not, because the Sorylians have really good broadsides. So yeah, probably not an ambush. Just a regular battle out in the storm zone. Heavy cruiser, cruiser, destroyer, frigate, drones, and escorts, all with nice renders and stats. Some more photography. And then on to how to build Directorate fleets, which is handy for me personally because I've just started playing Directorate recently. So, these are really, I find these really good to, so I know what, how to start building Directorate basically. Use these as ideas and then go off from there. So the acquisition fleets, the acquisition flotilla, 43rd, the 1200 point battle fleet. Do these have alliance? I can't see alliance ships yet, but a lot of these lists do have alliance ships. Provocation fleets, which is 800 point patrol fleet, which doesn't have any battleships. Battlefield research fleets, 1200 points, 401st research flotilla. And pacification fleets, 2000 point fleet, which is huge, and there's some fluff for them as well. And some more photography of the Directorate. And then we go on to the allied factions. There's a little bit of fluff on this side of the page for the allied factions. Like the Kuruk Alliance book, I would have liked to have seen the the fluff from the website added onto added into the book and then expanded on. But as I said in the other video, Spartan only has so many people working there and only so many hours in the day. But maybe for 3rd edition, hey, if these books come out for 3rd edition, then maybe the expanded fluff can be added there. So this is how to build an allied faction fleet for the Zenian League. And then we go on to the Bakash. These are basically the barbarians, the berserkers of the Zenian League and of the Firestorm, the Firestorm world, universe, galaxy. So yeah, Bakash battle carrier, heavy cruiser, cruiser, destroyer, frigate, all with nice renders. And we go on to the Khadorians, the battleships, the carriers. The Khadorians are really kind of like nose up, I find. Like, like a Khadorian officer won't serve on anything less than a Khadorian ship. They're kind of like that a little bit. So you've got the battleship and carrier for the Khadorians, as well as SRS tokens. Some more nice photography of some ships, some Khadorian ships there. Khadorians engaging a Ryushi carrier. I like how the tokens are really nicely laid out in front of the ships in all these, in some of these photos. And in real life, that doesn't happen. The tokens are kind of put everywhere. But anyway, I suppose it's because it's, it's official photography for the book. Cruiser, destroyer, frigate for the Khadorians. And now we move on to the RSN, probably the most popular allied fleet in the Zenian League. So you've got the Dreadnought and the battleship. And quite a lot of fluff for those ships as well. Some more nice photography of the RSN, the Rents System Navy. And then onto the carrier, some RSN SRS tokens. Heavy cruiser. No renders for these guys, unfortunately. Cruiser, destroyer, frigate, and escort. Let's move this over here a bit. And then we have more nice photography of RSN ships, looking all dark and mean. Oops. And then Works Raptor. These are the allied guys for the Directorate, kind of the natural allies. They're the natural allies for the Directorate. Whereas the RSN are the natural allies of the Dindrenzi. So yeah, you have Assault Carrier, Attrition Class, Battle Cruiser, the Oppressor Class. Yes, they get a Battle Cruiser, Works Raptor. I think it's the only allied faction for either side. to get a battle cruiser at this point. So yep, they get the Oppressor class battle cruiser. Some more photography, some Terrans engaging some Cadorians. Those are nice ships actually. I do like the design of those ships. Torpedo cruiser for Works Raptor, destroyer, corvette, and you know, a game in progress, or maybe it's staged, I don't know. But yeah, nice photography of more battles in the Firestorm Galaxy, and that's it. That's the book. Like the Kuruk Alliance book, this is not an essential purchase if you want to play the game. You can play the game by, you know, buying the core rulebook, some ships, and then, you know, downloading the stats from the Spartan Games website. Then print those out or put them on your tablet or phone and go off and play. So it's not an essential purchase, but it's a really nice purchase, I think, if you want to go deeper into the game. You know, if you want to really go into the, you know, the Firestorm Galaxy, really find out about all the factions and what makes them tick. You know, and also have, you know, stats in a hardback book like this, then, you know, if you're a fan of the game, basically, then I think these are, you know, a really good buy, and they're not expensive either. Each of these books cost the same as the main core rulebook, so you know, they're not that pricey, and you get not just one faction, but you get all the factions for the Zenian League in the book. Okay, so that was a look at the Zenian League book, the Fleet Guide for Firestorm Armada. As usual, if you like this video, then please hit like. If you dislike it, then hit dislike. And please subscribe if you want to be pinged by YouTube when the next video goes up on this channel. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Until the next one, see ya!